Good morning, my babies. How are you doing? I'm making this video to let you guys know how my infusions came out yesterday. Today is the 13th. It's around 2:16 in the morning. And I did my infusions yesterday. And I think they did very well. I'm not having all the side effects that they said that I should be having. The only side effect I'm having is that I'm really fatigued. Like, I'm so tired. When I came in, I slept. I slept all day, and I'm just now waking up. And it's like, well, yeah, it's real early in the morning. But I wanted to let y'all know how my day went when you live a synchronistic lifestyle. Because that's what I'm calling my life now. A synchronistic lifestyle. Okay. Yesterday, well, the night before I fell asleep, I told God I would go in there and get those infusions if He go with me. I don't want to be alone, and I want to know that I'm not alone, because at this point, everything that is happening to me is experimental, guys. I have another person's heart. This heart is creating antibodies, and my body was having a hard time dealing with the antibodies. And it keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. But when I caught COVID in January, for some reason my body stopped producing the antibodies. Like, my test results haven't changed from January up until now. So that's why I had to have the infusions, because I have little stragglers laying around, and those little stragglers can cause issues. It could cause my arteries to begin to harden. And if they couldn't get rid of the antibodies, my lifespan would be really cut short. It's a scary thing when you're the only person that's going through something, but I understand that somebody has to be first. And I'm glad that God chose me. Even though this is hard, I did tell God to use me as a living sacrifice. Use me to uplift His kingdom. Use me any way that He would choose to use me to help the kingdom. And that's what's happening to me. So if you want God to use you, be careful about what you say. Because when God uses you, it's not going to be like no other using you in the world that exists. It's going to be God's way. Now, I have to trust this process. I don't have a choice but to trust this process, because I was given 2 weeks to live, and here I am 12 years later. This is my third rejection. And everything they're doing to me is experimental, because there's nobody that's been through this thing. And it's like I'm on a front line with no soldiers in the background to help me. Like, I'm facing this war by myself. But oh, I couldn't be so wrong, because I'm not by myself. I have to thank God for the experiences that He's given me, the personal experiences with Him, like the spiritual experiences with Him, like me coming out of my body and not being able to get back into my body. So it's like He let me know that my body is one thing and I am another thing. But what I am is Him. What I am is greatness. And I'm so glad I'm no longer in the dark. Now, my page isn't to conform you to the way I think. I'm not trying to take your beliefs away from you. I'm not telling you that the way you believe is wrong. but just to give you an insight and maybe change your thinking a little. Try something different, something outside the box, something that if you do it, people think you crazy. People tell you you're not supposed to, because they're living in a scripted world. They think it's one way, and it's so not one way to get to God. It's so many ways to get to God. And when they say you can't get to God without Christ, which I believe that is true, it depends on how you look at the word Christ, how you define Christ inside of you. To me, Christ is a way. Christ is a roadmap. Christ are the warning signs. Christ is just trying to tell you that there's another way. The way we're going is sending us straight to hell. It's sending us straight to destruction. You can't just be human all the time, because you're neglecting your spiritual side, and your spiritual side coincides with your human side. And once those two get in agreement, so many beautiful things could happen. So, the moral of my story is this morning, I got up. I got up full of praise. Even though I was scared, I was scared as hell. But yesterday, before I got up, I read in the Apocrypha where it says you don't have to be strong. You don't have to have courage. You don't have to be pretending, because God said, I will be all of that for you. You just believe in me and you go. And you can go with God not knowing what to expect and being afraid, because you are physical also. And death is promised to all of us. And as long as you holding his hand though, as long as you know he's guiding you, you go no matter how you feel, and you don't believe man when they tell you the outcome. You can't believe in God and believe in man at the same time. So you have to make up your mind. If you're going to follow Christ, which is the way, the truth, and the life, and the light, you can't see the bigger picture. And my prayer is, I want eyes like God. I want feelings like God. I want to see like how God sees things. Like, so I've turned my entire life over to God. Whatever you want to call God, I've turned my life over to this presence, because this present has been such a present help in my life, and it's helped me out of things that man can't figure out how to do. So when I woke up this morning, I was afraid this morning. I was shaking in my boots. I was shaking. But I had the reassurance that God has not failed me in all this time. Why would he fail me now? And like the Apocrypha said, somebody has to be first. Then I listened to Dolores Cannon when she talked about the three waves of people. I fit in the first wave. I'm a way maker. I'm the way to go. Like, I'm first at everything. And when I look at my life, I'm the oldest. I'm the first one to have a grandchild. I'm the first one to graduate from certain degrees in my little set of family, in my immediate family. I'm the first one to get married. I'm the first one to be married this long. Like, I feel like I'm well put together, but then in a way I'm not well put together. But compared to everybody else, I'm put together because I chose God. I chose to walk his way. I used to get picked on by the way I used to talk, because I don't know how to talk about anything else. When you've been touched by God, what else is there to talk about? I mean, I can make conversation, but then somehow the conversation always turn into a spiritual conversation. And I'm always thrown in situations where somebody needs to hear. And I have the words to say because God is living on the inside of me and He's participating in everything that I'm participating in. Like He's not missing in my life. When I got up this morning after praising God, after thanking God for even having this opportunity, I kind of felt I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I was hyping myself up. I can do this. I can do this. My biggest thing was I didn't want those chemicals in my body, but I need something to fight these antibodies because I found out that when I caught COVID in January, up until now, my body's not producing those antibodies anymore. Amen. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. My body's not producing them, but the ones that were produced are still hanging around, and they could be a nuisance. They can cause problems for me. So they had to come up with something to try to get rid of them. So this is all experimental. They've tried this on a couple of people with rejection and it worked. That's because they had just a few antibodies. I have many because my situation was acute. So one, we want to thank God for my body not producing those antibodies anymore. And now we know we're just dealing with those that are hanging out. But y'all, when I left the house this morning, my mind was focused on the end. It's gone. I was focusing on my doctors telling me there's no more issues, there's no more problems. I was focusing on the nurses rejoicing. I was focusing on me and my husband rejoicing. That's what my mind was today. This is gonna work. God doesn't know this is not happening to me. God is present. He knows this. Now, if you follow my page, I recently told a story about my grandmother who died when I was 15. And I saw her in a mall in a dream, and it had something to do with Oreo cookies. I don't know why Oreo cookies. I don't understand why Oreo cookies. But remember, on my channel, we spirit walk. We imagine ourselves not in the flesh, and we're just breath, feeling, vibration, emotion. We are what God is. God is not this human flesh. So on my channel, we imagine that we are what God is, and when you learn how to do it, things come alive. All of your environment is alive. You will realize that nothing is dead, that you are the living life force that bring things to life. And when people create things, those things came from thought. So they came from the world where we come from. So when they're touching things and they're building things and they're creating things, there is an anointing that goes into your creations. There is your energy, there is your essence that goes on into these creations. And these creations are just waiting for the right vibration to come by to match with them and wake them up. So those of you who don't know about the dream I had, I'm going to repeat it. But I have to repeat it because there are layers and layers and layers of information. Once he give you something, it keeps going and it keeps going. So you have to keep track of all of the evidence, all of the things that have taken place so you can see your blessing actually coming to pass. Like you can actually see the universe working on your behalf. I no longer have to pray to air. I no longer have to believe just because my grandparents believe. I believe because God has proven himself to me. So in my dream, there was a dream about my grandmother. My grandmother, which was deceased when I was 15, and we were in a mall, and I was shopping and don't know what I was shopping for, but I saw my grandmother. I stopped my grandmother. Her name is Willie Pearl Talley, but her nickname is Skeet, Skeet. And when I called her grandmother, she didn't answer me. When I responded by Skeet, she turned around and it was her. She came over and she talked to me, and we were making jokes about the Oreo cookies. Oreo cookies were in piles all throughout the mall. Like somebody went crazy, opened Oreo cookies, stepped on them, mashed them. I don't know, but they were like everywhere, pile after pile after pile after pile. And if you look at it from far off, it looks like a field that has been harvested, like the fruits had been plucked up and the ground had been plowed, and it was getting ready for new seeds to be planted into these spots. And this is what my grandmother used to do. She would grow our food, and I would be out in the field with her, and she would show me how to grow food, how to take care of food. And when I say they had everything down to watermelons, to corn, like we never really went to the grocery store for anything. We ate off the land coming up. So we were laughing in the dream about the Oreos just being everywhere. And I'm like, why are they just letting these Oreos just be all over the place like this? This doesn't matter. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. So my grandmother laughed about it. She said, it does make sense. Everything makes sense. It's just, do you make sense? She said, you just got to use a little bit more of your thinking, Tasha. Nothing is happening that's not supposed to be happening. She said, remember what I taught you. And she taught me a lot, y'all. So I figured, as I looked at the Oreo piles and they were looking at dirt, I began to get happy because I began to feel like my harvest had been plucked up, like something was being prepared for me, like a table of goodies and goodness, some type of celebration was coming my way when I took the time to think. Then I mentioned to her that my brother was home from prison. He had did 27 years, but he wasn't doing too well. He was in the hospital. And this is when she said, I know, I was there. She said, we stayed there with him all night. And she didn't say I stayed there with him all night. She said we, meaning it was just more than her down there trying to save my brother's life because his breathing kept stopping. She said as his breath was coming out, we were pushing breath in. And she said, I tried to play with his feet to wake him up so he could see me, but he wouldn't wake up because my brother has like a case of narcolepsy. He wakes up, but then he goes back to sleep. He wakes up and he goes back to sleep. So he couldn't stay woke. She said, but yeah, he's okay now. He's going to be all right. So a few days later, no, the very next day was Valentine's Day. I received a gift from my husband, and let me backtrack. Before my grandmother left in the dream, she was walking out the door. I was following behind her. She said, don't you follow me. Don't go with me. Turn around and go back. So I was like, oh, I wasn't following you, but I really was following her. Wherever she was going, I was going. So she said it so stern, she made me turn around and come back. So when I turned around and came back in the mall, I saw Oreo cookies stacked from the floor all the way to the ceiling. Most of the Oreos were the blue pack Oreos. A few of the Oreos were the golden pack. Then they had the red velvet kind. Like they had kinds of Oreos that I had never ever seen before. But this one wall consisted of nothing but Oreo cookies. So the very next day in real life was Valentine's Day. I didn't get to tell my husband about my Oreo thing that morning, but when he came in from work, because he works at night, he brought me this beautiful basket, and this basket had to hit him for some change with the items that were inside this basket. So there was a box of chocolates in it. And while we looking through the basket, I'm steady telling him about my dream, about my grandmother, and about the Oreo cookies. And I was like, I touched her, I hugged her, and I could still feel her arms around me. And like I had tears in my eyes, like I was really with my grandmother last night, right? So as we go into the basket, there's a box of chocolates inside the basket. But the name of the box of chocolates was called Hazel and Cream. In my mind, I'm thinking it's chocolates with cream in the middle. So I'm telling him I don't like chocolates with the cream in the middle. He was like, but this basket costs so much money. Could you just eat the chocolate? Just appease me, eat the chocolates. So I said I could do that. It wouldn't hurt me to just eat the chocolate. I don't like it, but I'll do it because it was a gift, and this gift was made with love. Kudos to the person that created that basket. That basket was it was love oozing all out of that basket. And he was just smiling. So he was helping me go through it. We were picking up things. We were smelling all the nice expensive colognes that haven't even hit the market yet. So when we got to the chocolates, we opened up the chocolates, but y'all, it wasn't chocolates. It was gourmet Oreos. Oreos dipped in caramel, Oreos dipped in white chocolate, Oreos dipped in dark chocolate. They had nuts, they had fruits. I mean, they were decorated so beautiful. So they were gourmet Oreos. So I ate one of the Oreos and he ate one of the Oreos, and we was like, okay, that's pretty good. So I took a picture of the Oreos. You know what I'm saying? I gave everybody in the house an Oreo because when you see an item in your dream and you turn around and see it in your physical reality, this item is anointed. This item is full of power. So I gave it to them because if something's going on in them that they don't know about, if they need a breakthrough, if they've been praying for something and it's been hard to come through, they got a sickness in their body, it heals. So I'm like, eat one of these Oreos. This is from grandma, y'all. So we all sat there enjoying a beautiful treat from my grandmother, which my husband bought, but my husband had no idea. He didn't even know that the chocolates was in the basket. So this was a big surprise to us. And I told my brother about the dream about him being in the hospital, and he was trying to tell me that he almost died, but I had stopped him. I said, hold on, let me tell you what I saw first before you tell me what happened to you at the hospital. I already know. So I was telling him, and my brother began to rejoice. So he started feeling sad because he didn't get to see my grandmother. Well, the same day, he went to the grocery store, forgot something, had to go back to the grocery store, and when he pulled up in the parking lot, a guy in on a motorcycle pulled up next to him, and on his helmet there was the word Skeet. And this was my grandmother's nickname, Skeet. So he called me. He was telling me about it. Then he was telling me, I understand how you see now. I understand what you mean by your environment speaks to you. He said that was grandma. She came in on a motorcycle. And yep, grandma liked motorcycles too. We had a bad grandma, boy. She didn't play. So he said the helmet said Skeet, and he was like, oh my God, grandma came to me. So she still wasn't done with him, because on the same day when everybody played with everybody and had fun, he went in the house to look at In the Heat of the Night. And in this show there was a guy named Willie, in which my grandmother's first name is Willie, and he had a mechanic shop, and Willie stole some pearls, and so they were trying to get the pearls back from Willie to prove that Willie actually stole the pearls. Well, my grandmother's name is Willie Pearl. Then he told me a commercial kept coming on about Tally. Tally is some type of new credit card system where you pay one credit card, and this credit card pays all of your other credit card bills, like, so you won't have to keep calling each company, like this card is responsible for, I guess, consolidating all your bills and paying them off for you. And he said it just kept coming on, and the commercial was called Tally. That's the name of the program. Well, we are Tallies. And my grandmother's name was Willie Pearl Tally. So he was excited. He said, Grandma in my house, Grandma hanging around me. So you can't deny things like this. That's why you must always be vigilant. You always must be watchful, because he comes like a thief in the night. Like you can miss him at any time. But in this case, he was just relaxed. He was just watching TV. So that was a beautiful thing. Okay, a couple weeks after that, I had to go to Cleveland to get a second opinion, because I was feeling like a project, which I am right now, because they're trying to figure out how to cure my condition. And when I went for my second opinion, the road that I had to turn down to get to my uncle's house in Cleveland was called Pearl Road. And my grandmother's middle name was Pearl. So I started smiling. I took a picture of the street. Then we went down another street, and everybody had a sign in their yard that says Berea Kind, because he lives in Berea, Ohio. But the BE in Berea was highlighted and Kind was at the bottom. Where in my phone, I take pictures of the word be kind, because it was showing up, just showing up everywhere. Be kind. It might be a bee, like a bumblebee, and then the word kind. When you get off the exit that I live on, there is a sign at the end of the exit with a bumblebee on it, and it says kind. So I have a lot of pictures of the word be kind. My sister sent me a picture of a face mask with a heart on it, and the rib cage being open with both hands, like being stretched open, and you could see inside the heart, and you could see the ribs, and it said be kind. So I took, I keep that picture, because that's part of a synchronicity, and I live a synchronistic lifestyle. So the more I talk to my people are learning to do this. My people are noticing my words, my little messengers that are popping up, but little do they know they're being introduced to them too. And those little things watch over my loved ones. They're where my loved ones are. They report back to me what they see, but to me that's confirmation that even they are being watched over by things that they would not consider something that could watch over you. And this is the anointing. This is how you walk through both worlds. They're even walking through the veil. The veil has been lifted. They're walking through both worlds, but they don't realize it. But I got a sister-in-law who down with me, and when I tell you she get it, because it's now happening for her. And then a couple more friends that take me serious are seeing that this is how the world really works. Like they've hooked up with their dead ancestors also, just through tiny objects, right? So this morning when I left, the first thing I saw when I hit the road and I hit the red light was this truck going by with a big pack of Oreo cookies on it. Just for no reason, the Oreo cookies. And so I said, wow, okay, grandmother knows that I'm headed to the hospital. She's letting me know everything's going to be all right. Everything going to be sweet. Just go on with my treatments. Don't be afraid. So as I got on the highway, I began to think about my father, because my father passed December 2020, and the way he shows himself to me is through jaguars. I could see a jaguar in any form. It does not matter. The word is still jaguar. A jaguar is a jaguar. It could be the animal, it could be the car, it could be the word. It could be a cartoon. It could be a design on a shirt, billboard, truck. It doesn't matter. The word is Jaguar. And this is how my father shows himself to me because my father had a Jaguar in his yard that he liked. In the last show that we looked up at together and we laughed and we had such a good time, it was called Apocalypto, and the main character in this movie is Jaguar Paw. So we all pretended like if we were Jaguar Paw, what we would be doing. So all of us was just laughing. We put ourselves in the movie. So this is how my father shows himself to me. And I figured it was my father through a sex pack that flew in my yard off the expressway because I live off the expressway. I was checking the trash and I kept saying, "Who is this Jaguar? Who is this Jaguar?" And all of a sudden, this sex pack popped up in my yard and the pill was missing out of the sex pack, and it was a Jaguar sex pack. And I began to laugh. Automatically, I knew it was my father. To add on to that, my landlord came to my house to show me his brand new car, and his brand new car was a red Jaguar, and the tag number had 2324. Well, at the time, my sister died on the 23rd, and my father died on the 24th. They died a day apart, so that was them letting me know that they were together. But back to this morning, I saw the Oreo truck. So I was happy when I saw the Oreo truck. I knew the presence of my grandmother was around. So as I'm riding on the expressway, I say, I don't see a Jaguar because every day I have an appointment. Every time I go to the hospital now, there is a Jaguar in front of me or on either side of me. But however it happens, it's always riding with me. Like it's never behind me. It's where I could see it. So I looked through the traffic. I didn't see a Jaguar. I said, well, maybe Dad just sent Grandma. Like he didn't want to come this go round. But 20 minutes into the ride, I look over, I just lean my head on the window, and there it is, a pearl white Jaguar. And I began to smile because it was riding right beside of us. And I don't even know how long the car was riding. I was crying a little bit because, first of all, it was a Jaguar car. Second of all, it was a pearl color, and the pearl color was so beautiful. Well, in the Cleveland Clinic, when I went for my second opinion, they had a string of pearls going around in a heart with little purple items on the inside of it. So I knew my grandmother was also at the Cleveland Clinic with me when I was getting my second opinion. Plus, we had to turn down the road called Pearl Road. So my grandmother been speaking loudly. So I'm over here saying, "Hey, Daddy, you going to the hospital with me again? Everything's gonna be fine. Y'all making sure that nothing happens to me, huh?" And so this is how I'm talking on the inside of myself to the car sitting next to me, because I understand that this car is not just there just to be there. It's always on time. It never ever fails. These objects become watchers. These objects are how your ancestors communicate with you. It's just, are you watching? Are you being vigilant? Are you brushing things off? And they always repeat themselves. They never change. They may come in different forms, but the word is still the word. The word is still what it is. So as we're riding, I'm sitting there rejoicing that I'm not by myself. And as we get closer to the hospital, I look up, and it's always like a first glance. You don't have to do it twice. It's just like time you look at something, there it is. And you do it randomly. You're not trying to do it. And there was a billboard with stallions on it. A bunch of stallions. I think it was like 3 or 4 stallions. Well, this is my third rejection, and I was seeing stallions before I went in the hospital. My heart was at 10%, but now it's back up to 45, 50 range. But at the time, this year, I was at 10%, and the regimen that they put me on came from horses. Like it's something made from horses. So your muscle is like a stallion, a horse. Horse represents all muscle. So I knew this was about my heart. Like, okay, everything is working out for the good. So I rejoiced when I saw the horses. When I get to the place, I'm placed in the third bay, which is the number 3. That is a number that follows me all the time. And if you ever keep seeing the number 3 by itself, it's just showing you that you and God are working one on one. God is working with you one on one. We right here. Don't look to the side. Don't look to the back of you. Don't worry about nothing that's going on. Just focus on me. It's me and you. I'm here. I see. I know you're not alone. And I got my hand in this. So I was happy. The lady asked me, did I want a snack? And I told her no. I said, well, do you have anything to drink? She said, sure. She said, but you sure you don't want a snack? I said, what kind of snacks y'all got? She said, oh, we just have Oreos and Sun Chips. And I just smiled and I said, no, I don't want anything. I just want something to drink. But just to hear that word Oreo again brought joy to my heart, y'all. A couple days before I came to the hospital, I had my grandbaby all this week. I wanted to spend time with her, just in case. You never know. So that's my human thinking, by the way. So I gets her and she asked me to take her to Dairy Queen. She really wanted her a Blizzard. When we got to the Dairy Queen, my granddaughter asked for an Oreo Blizzard. So that was Oreo again. See how Oreo just keep on popping up, keep popping up. So when I got through with my infusion, she explained to me that I was going to be really weak. I was going to be fatigued, just lay down and sleep. Then she told me about all the other side effects. Honey, my hearing disappeared on her when it came to that. After I heard fatigue and she started naming all that other stuff, I went left. I said, nope. I saw my horses today. I saw Oreos today. I thought about my grandbaby asking for that Oreo Dairy Queen Blizzard. And when I went down to the lab, I looked out the window. There was a guy with his back turned, but you could see the logo on the back of his shirt. He was making a phone call, and it says 2 veterans and a lawn. So they were lawn care veterans, but guess what? They were Purple Heart veterans. Now the Purple Heart comes to me through my daughter that's passed on. That's how I connect with my daughter. So you see, I had all of these signs to focus on while I'm down there doing a dangerous procedure. Like while I'm down there being experimented on, I have my signs there to watch over me, so I don't have to focus on what the doctors tell me, what they say with all that bad death news speaking death to me. I have my signs to focus on, and they were all guapped up. They were all grouped up. Like if something go down, they was gonna be there to pull me out. Like it didn't matter what was gonna happen. I was watched. I was protected. So when I saw the lawn care man as I'm getting my lab drawn, y'all, the tears flowed. They flowed. They flowed to know you're not alone. And by things that people overlook, by things people wouldn't consider real. But I've come to know that when you're walking in spirit and truth, you have to accept that everything is connected. Everything is in its place for a reason. Nothing is out of place. You are not out of place. You could be at the wrong place at the wrong time, but you're not out of place because you could be protected, and that's how you get out of some of the stuff that you be in, because these watches come together and they make it where you are going to be okay. So when I saw the lawn care veterans and they were Purple Heart veterans, I looked at this t-shirt. I wanted to take a picture, but I didn't want to look like a stalker, so I didn't. I held it in. I went upstairs and got my dang on treatments. So I came home and I was tired and I just laid here and I slept. I slept all day today and I'm just waking up. But I was letting y'all know that I did it. I did the infusions, and I know that though this worked. I just got a feeling that this one worked. All the other ones was a trial. They didn't work too well. They just made the antibodies come back crazier. But the antibodies have stopped because my test results are the same as they were in January when I caught COVID up until now. And I got fully vaccinated and I still caught COVID. But in my world, COVID isn't what everybody think it is. In my world, COVID went in there and changed some things and rearranged some things. I was sick. I was so sick, but I wasn't so sick that I need to go down there and ask for a ventilator. I didn't have to go to the hospital to ask for a room. Like, my body sat here and did its thing. I love my immune system, by the way. I love the way my body works and the way my body takes care of me. But I had all this love following me today, y'all. I had nothing but goodness to focus on. So I came home, I laid down, and y'all, I have had the best sleep. And this is my time to get up around 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like clockwork. I could sleep up until 3, and then I'm up for the rest of the day until I take a nap. Sometimes during the day. Ooh, excuse me. So I wanted to tell you guys, like, living in a synchronistic life is beautiful. I want you to learn these things because you can't depend on what man say. Man gonna let you down, but these objects are fact. These objects are true. These objects are personal and they're tailored just to you. And you are the only one that would notice it. The only time someone else would notice it is if you talk about it. So I talk about it because I want other people to understand that your environment protects you. Your environment knows you there. Everything is one. Everything is connected. I am the Purple Heart. I am the Jaguar. I am the horses. I am the Oreo cookies. So when I left the hospital today, my sister-in-law, she was like, "Oh my God, I've been praying. I just knew you was going to be all right. I knew you was going to be all right." So we met her in a varsity parking lot, and it was her son's birthday, and she brought me a piece of Oreo Extreme Dream cake from the Spaghetti Factory. I smiled, y'all. I ate that cake. It was so good. But to enjoy the journey before your blessing pop, that's where all the power is. I have no idea what these Oreos could stand for, what the end surprise is going to be when Oreo finally reveals itself. But right now I'm just enjoying Oreos, and me discovering the Oreos and how the Oreos just jumping out the box for me. Like, really? A cookie? A Oreo cookie? So I went into the Oreo world, y'all. I researched Oreos for hours and hours trying to find things on the Oreos, and the Oreos are a mystery. The Oreos been here 110 years. They older than a lot of us. That mean they smarter than a lot of us. Oreo is also famous. Oreo has its own commercials. It's even inside of movies. Even the designs on the Oreo. Y'all look at into what the designs on the Oreo mean. And it's like, I love it, even though I don't truly understand what these Oreos are representing, because I can guess 1,000 ways what's about to pop. Because once you follow the word and follow the word, you always end up in your blessing, in your manifestation. And because I'm seeing these Oreos so frequently, something's happening, something's happening. Oh, and another thing, the mushrooms. Remember, I talk about the mushrooms. Mushrooms are alive. When my white blood cell count was really low, they thought I had cancer. They was going to start treating me for cancer. And then the mushrooms start popping up. And then I seen a mushroom truck with the mushrooms stuck to a fork. Like God was saying, eat these mushrooms, y'all. Mushrooms are manna from heaven. So I picked out on the mushrooms for like 2-3 weeks, and when I went back to the doctor, my white blood cell count was up. Well, last week I had the thing with the mushrooms again. The mushrooms began to get aggressive. I was seeing mushrooms everywhere. So I said, God, is it time for me to eat more mushrooms? Cause I'm finna get ready to have these infusions. But this time he didn't want me to eat the mushrooms, y'all. I did the shrooms. And I don't like the feeling of the shrooms, but I put the mushrooms in my body because I understand what mushrooms wanted to do for me, and I didn't like the effects of the mushrooms, so I would not be doing shrooms. But I'm following the word, and it wasn't a lot of mushrooms, so y'all don't act crazy and say, why would you do something like that? I'm following the word, and mushrooms is one of my words, and mushrooms heal me once. So if they heal me once, they heal me again. So I had the mushrooms in my system a week before I went to my infusions. So whatever those mushrooms wanted to do in there, this time I had to eat them the other way, because this is the way they kept presenting themselves to me. And now I keep seeing something about mushroom coffee. So I'm going to order the mushroom coffee because the mushrooms keep you balanced on the inside. Man, y'all go into the spirit realm and read up on what mushrooms do. Man, they mend you back together. So this time I'm going to get the mushroom tea. I mean the coffee. And I've did the mushrooms in my food. I've did the shrooms, the psychedelic kind, which I only ate a couple of those. I didn't like how they made me feel, but they're in my system. So the mushrooms are doing their job, and plus I've been eating mushrooms in my food. So everything is working out. Everything is working out. Now I can focus on the end result. My doctor's saying they're gone. They're really gone. Like there are no more antibodies. Oh, we did it. We did it. Thank you, God. Y'all, my doctor, thank God in a minute. And I love it. I can express my godliness to him, and he gets it and he understands. So find you a doctor that love you, because I don't think everybody can touch me. Because when I went to Cleveland, them people was like, no, we're afraid to touch you. Go back home. But see, God wanted me to know that he don't make mistakes. It's okay if you feel in doubt because you're going through a lot of stuff and your human thinking get in the way. Go on and get on the plane and go see. They ain't gonna do nothing but send you right back to where I sent you. But as I'm there, all of my signs are there also following me. I guess just in case Cleveland wanted to do something, my signs had to be there to report back to God on what was going on with me. So I feel blessed right now. I feel highly blessed and highly favored. But I did it, y'all. I did the infusions. Now we wait. So when I get my test results, I will come back and I will let you guys know what the no is, and y'all be speaking it in existence for me. Imagine me coming on here rejoicing, screaming, crying, jumping up and down. They gone, they gone, they gone, they gone. Because these doctors was like, if we can't get rid of the antibodies, your lifespan is short, and I wouldn't qualify to get back on the donor list again because my body's producing the antibodies, and it would do the same thing to another heart. But how many of y'all know God don't make no mistakes? Somebody died on that day so I can live on this day. I became the first person on a 20-year waiting list. I found that hospital just by listening. Never knew this hospital existed. Why would I doubt God now? That is so crazy to doubt God. Now he has shown me so much love, so much affection, and then to see my ancestors, my ancestors, my passed on loved ones still rocking with me, rolling with me. And y'all, I didn't get along with my dad. Me and my dad had issues when he passed on. But guess what? Now he's in reality. Now I believe God showed him who I really was and how wrong he was for the way he treated me throughout my life. And now my dad is like my biggest forerunner. I want me a Jaguar car, and I'm going to get me a Jaguar, and I'm going to ride inside that Jaguar, and that will make me more closer to my father, I believe, because he ain't playing with these Jaguar cars, y'all. He show up in a Jaguar like it ain't nothing. And he never misses an appointment now. Back then, he didn't even come to my appointments. He didn't even bother to come to the hospital to see how I'm doing. But now, but now, to see him today riding on the side of me, I feel like him and my grandmother was in the car together, because she was the car and he was the name of the car. Pearl color. Jaguar. Oh my God, y'all, riding right next to me all the way there. All the way there. And usually this car follows me until I get into the hospital. And it's also going into the same hospital. But this time the car, as I got off the exit to go in the hospital, it kept going. Like it said, you good. Gone, girl. Gone, girl. But then when I got in there, I had other signs there to pick me up and lift me up. So I focused on the word of God. This is what I call the word of God. Faith is evidence of the unseen things. And y'all, I could see the evidence of the unseen things, the things y'all don't even pay attention to. A cookie, that cookie got anointing in it. That cookie, that Oreo cookie chose me for some reason. My grandmother gave me that, and I feel so blessed, y'all. So I'm gonna get off of here because I've been on here almost 60 minutes, and I don't want y'all to waste y'all time to bore you guys. But I just had to give you my backdrop of today. I'm awake now. I'm still a little sleepy, so I'm gonna lay back down so you can not go to sleep. But it was on my heart to make this video, and I want to thank the Oreo, whoever created Oreos, whatever the definition of Oreos is. I love you, and I thank you. And I thank all my other signs for showing up. But Oreo is a new one for me, y'all. And it was by my grandmother. And then my husband the next day gifted me with Oreo. So this is love. Nothing but pure love giving me these things. Love is actually loving on me. If only y'all knew what love really was. This is love. And I thank you guys for listening to me. And I pray you find your pieces. Just pay attention to what keeps repeating itself to you. That is a word from heaven. That is a word from God. Let he who has an ear hear what the Spirit is saying. Pay attention. I love you. Be blessed.